then it's just working right there.
We put in, we went through and kind of figured out that we each have every paycheck to the joint account, and then whatever else we have on the rifle, we can
Well, I have Mike savings account that I have a $7 million.
Oh yeah.
That's like, he has like an account that he just put money on that he can walk in so that there's in case somebody feels like, hey, you want a bunch of money. I'm like, well, you should use that account because I can give you money. And I'm like, instead of going to the grocery store to pay cash, you can use that card and,
Put that in there.
I want to size it out that I use it. But I was like, you should do that because like, I don't think
But yeah, they think that they always say couples fight about this money and we never fight about money because we've got it separated.
You fight about other things.
She lives with me. The woman has the patience of a Job.
the moment we lived with each other for a year and a half, we would fight about
But you fight. You probably do training together. You hash it out that way.
Right now, we argue, we cause more tension than result. We have to
That's-
cut it down.
I've been very 27. That's cute.
Yeah.
Cute.
Well, actually,
that's nice.
we both get pissed in the same way. We just stop talking. So when
Oh, yeah.
both ends of it, if you're unhappy, you just talk. Things, big arguments don't happen. Eventually, we do.
Have a big goal.
Yeah, we've had a few over the years, but mostly we just stop talking.
I'm sorry and everything.
of Toledo news. Yeah. Come on. Join us.
And then she's streaming it live, just so you know.
I've been live, I've been trying to.
It's live already? Live and in person.
I just sound out, so nobody can hear what you're talking about.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll get started. Fantastic. So thanks everybody for coming. We got a smaller group here today because of COVID joining us, but excited to have some community representation for this process. So essentially we're here to talk about two ordinances that are in front of council that could have really big implications for the city of Toledo when it comes to our water infrastructure, and we're really excited about that news. Certainly. But I just want to start and give some history and some background of a couple of the folks that you see behind us. Ed's a staple in this community, but so is Alicia and all of the hard work that she's done around water. And recognizing that in December of 2019, I created a resolution that created what's known as the Water Quality and Consumer Protection Committee, which is made up of folks from our Department of Public Utilities, as well as myself on council or whoever would be the chair of the Water Quality and Sustainability Committee, and then find community folks who can provide some inputs, feedback, ideas, new notions that we can carry forward as a city around water. And so far, we've done some really great work in there already. Right at the beginning of COVID, we recognized the need to keep water on for Toledoans, and so we instituted the first of its kind moratorium on water shutoffs in the state of Ohio, which ultimately made sure that throughout COVID people had their water on, and that is still in place today. And it's still in place because our group is focused on several different areas, mostly related to affordability. So we're looking at various assistance programs, and we will actually have news on that in the coming weeks really shortly on a new program that we've developed. We're looking at affordability measures, and we're looking at our infrastructure and trying to find ways that we can improve all of the things that impact Toledo. And so that includes our lead pipes, and so we're really excited to be here in front of you today. Council will vote on an ordinance today to move forward with an application process to bring $2 million to this community to replace private side lead lines throughout the city of Toledo, because we know that there are some residents in our city who have these lead pipes on their private side. It is not a danger to them to have it. However, thinking long term, we want to eliminate all of the lead pipes that are in our community, and so we're excited to bring that money here so we can help folks who need a little assistance with their lead pipe replacement to get that done. And then we're also looking at a program with a company called Blue Conduit, which is going to analyze our pipes and the infrastructure that's in our city. And I'm actually going to kick it to Director Moore to give a little bit more detail on that program and what council will be voting on today. And then we'll hear from Alicia and perhaps Ms. Green Bay as well from the community who are a part of that consumer protection group that's really focused on affordability measures throughout the community. So, thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Komives. Thanks for having us here today also. I'd like to also thank members of the Regional Water Commission on which I serve as well. We created that group a couple years back so that we can really focus on water and water needs here in Northwest Ohio as a region as a whole. I'd also like to thank Mayor Kapsakevich for allowing us to move forward with the Water Affordability and Consumer Protection Task Force as we work with the community to try to solve some of the city's water issues. Councilman Komives talked briefly about a couple ordinances we have in front of council that are going to be presented today and voted on today, I should say. The one with the company Blue Conduit, and I absolutely, we found out about Blue Conduit by working with community members, namely Alicia Smith from the Junction Coalition actually introduced Blue Conduit to myself in the Department of Public Utilities. Blue Conduit has done really good work around the country, namely in Flint, Michigan, after their lead crisis that they had. Blue Conduit came in and did the work to identify where all of the lead service lines are inside of the city. And then that way the utility can go about the business of replacing those lines in a more efficient manner so that we understand where both the private lead service lines and the public lead service lines are. So that's a big deal for us. Blue Conduit is nationally recognized, and they'll be right here in the city of Toledo helping us identify where those assets are. And on the other side of that is the second ordinance that will help us fund homeowners' ability to replace their lead service lines as we replace the public lead service lines. So what our intention is to follow best practices in the industry that says if you're going to remove lead service lines, you should remove all lead service lines at once, which is both on the public and the private side. So we want to make sure that homeowners have the resources they need to pay for that portion of it as we replace ours. So the grant that we're applying for from the Ohio Water Development Agency is for $2 million, and that will go towards funding those replacements. So again, the idea is to address lead service lines in our system right now. We are not under any mandate from the Ohio EPA or any regulatory agencies to do so. We are in good standing as far as lead is concerned. There are no lead issues in the city of Toledo's water system. We use treatment techniques to ensure that all of our citizens are protected from the dangers of lead associated with water. However, when we created the Regional Water Authority, one thing we did say, we wanted to move forward with removing all lead service lines without being mandated to do it because it's the right thing to do. After seeing what happened in Flint, we just felt as a utility, as a city of Toledo, we felt that it was only right for us to go after these types of issues before they become an issue. So that's kind of the intent of what we're doing today, and the group that we have together with the Water Affordability Task Force. I must say I've sat in on the meetings for the past year or so, and it is absolutely a credit to the members of our community to volunteer their time to come in and work with us so we can get much needed assistance into the hands of the people who need it in our community. So I would like to thank the community members as well. And with that said, I'll turn it over to Alicia Smith. Thank you.
Greetings, everybody. This is Miss Green Bay, who lives in the Junction community, and the Toledo Water Council has been working with the task force for quite some time around inequality and equity of water access. Having conversations with Mr. Komives and Mr. Moore around what it is Toledoans need to have safe, affordable drinking water. That is not a pastime. That's not something that is freely said and then we wait for it, because there is zero amount of lead that is safe to consume for an individual living in a home, particularly our children, because we know that the school to prison pipeline is linked to reading, and we know that lead is exposure and contamination is linked to cognitive disabilities in children. So this is a very serious concern, and Freshwater Future which is my 9 to 5, where I work in tandem across the region, the Great Lakes region, and by national, is looking at water contamination as one of the very first things that residents within any city should be looking at, and holding the utilities and the administration accountable for our very public health. So Ms. Green Bay, I'm going to allow you to just share your piece, because that's my role in Freshwater Future. But in the Junction Coalition, we sponsor the Toledo Water Council that works with many of the water advocates, such as Mr. Mike Ferner, Sean Nestor, all kinds of folks who are concerned about the well-being of Toledo water. Ms. Green Bay.
Yes, my name is Diana Green Bay, and I live at 1026 Belmont. This is what came out of my pipes. Would you like that in your pipes? Would you like to drink this? You talking about boiling it? I don't see the point in boiling this. Take a bath in it. Wash your clothes in it. Wash your dishes. Drink it. Cook with it. Would you like that? We need help. We need those pipes changed. Because this is not good. And just because it's coming out like this earlier doesn't mean it's still not in the water that we're drinking and using now. Because if you look at the bottom of it, it's got sediment down there. So it means it's still there. So we really need to help at fixing those pipes. Thank you.
We did inform Mr. Moore this morning, and he's promised to go over to see Ms. Green Bay's home and make sure that that's taken care of. Mr. Komives understands that this is not a joking matter. This is people's lives. Water is the new goal. It is the new investment. And so infrastructure is important. We can't walk around knowing that we have a failing infrastructure and not make the investments. It is time to not only turn our minds to public health, but equity, because we know that many of our historic communities of color are the communities that are most heavily hit. It is going to impact all of us, because those that are living with communicable diseases are working and doing some of the essential jobs that we depend upon. We look forward to the change and the opportunity to have these homes have protection to our seniors. Ms. Green Bay is not someone that is running around doing different things. She is a senior in our community. Our seniors need that concern. Our children need that concern, because those are the ones living with the disparities and the hardships. Thank you.
So I just want to acknowledge that we were just made light of the water that's in the water bottle that came from the pipes, and as it was mentioned, Ed is going to send somebody out to take a look. Our guess is that it's likely a house issue, and so we'll find that out. But the reality is, this is why it's imperative that we must invest in our infrastructure, that we must take care of all of our residents' needs around water. Ensuring safe water is the main goal of this consumer protection group that we have formed, and it is what we are most focused on. And so I just really want to make sure that we highlight the fact that this group has, as Ed mentioned, brought forward new ideas that we are implementing as a community, that we are very much aware of the needs of this community, and that we are proactively addressing these needs so we don't end up in a situation that we do not wish to be in, to be quite frank. So I just want to again thank you. Thanks for joining us, Alexia. Thank you for being here. Just want to thank the members of our consumer protection group who continue to fight and, as said, volunteer their time. These are citizens in our community who are giving of their free time to address these issues with us, so we can bridge the gap between the community and our government and make sure that we are being responsive and proactive. So thanks again for coming. We'll obviously be available for one-on-ones if you would like, but thanks again to our community folks who have joined us as well. Thank you.
Let's Ed or Nick, while you flag up here. Do either one of you have a sense on the private side how many or how much lead line we're talking about could potentially be out there? I mean, I'm sure you know on the public side, but what on the private side?
Yeah, on the public side, we originally talked about, our estimate was 30,000 services on the public side. So we anticipated, or we estimated 10% of that potentially was on the private side, so about 3,000 services. But the work that Blue Conduit is going to do is going to really fine tune that number for us, so we'll have a better idea of where we're at. But we originally ballparked about 3,000 services on the private side.
Services would be like homes?
Yeah, the pipe that runs from the shutoff valve at the curb to your house is called the service line that goes into your house. That's a private line once it's on the backside of the shutoff.
Now, how many services could that $2 million do?
Yeah. I think we anticipated about 800 services.
Okay.
Yeah. So obviously that's the beginning point for us. We want to start trying to bring the funds in so we can fund the private side. We don't want to put any of this burden on a homeowner. We'd rather have public funds pay for that if possible. So we're going to keep attacking and really go after funding so that we can get it into the hands of homeowners.
It's probably a little early to say, but you are going to see some CARES dollars come in here for whatever it's
Sure.
called these days.
Yeah.
Is that a conversation you can have with upstairs or the EPA or something to say, hey, if there's more than 2 million, is that a conversation you can have?
I'll turn.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the reality is, as a council person, we are the ones who hold the purse strings, right? So we ultimately will be the ones voting on what is appropriated. And if you don't think that I'm going to ask for some things around water, you'd be foolish. So absolutely intend to take a look at what this new stimulus money can do to improve our water infrastructure and the services that we provide to our community.
What brought this up? Was this something that has been always in the back burner, or did something make you decide to have this committee?
Yeah, I mean, I think I just remember when we were going through the process of regionalizing our water system, and we did the community events that happened all around the community, and I was hearing from people, and I realized, you know, this is a great opportunity for us to do our best to try and bring some of those folks in who are really focused on water and bring them to the table. There's no reason that we can't have public input on basically every policy that's happening, right? This group meets monthly, so anything that's before council that has to do with water, we're reviewing and getting input from the community on.
Are we trying to do before Flint happens here in Toledo?
I mean, yeah, absolutely. We, you know, it's unfortunate what's happened there. I'm really grateful that those that were responsible for what happened are currently under investigation and perhaps going to face charges, because it's criminal what happened there, and we have no intention, obviously, of looking or having what happened in Flint happen here in Toledo.
Well, on the topic of the lead lines, this might be a better question for Ed, but can you explain why households now shouldn't be concerned necessarily? I
Sure.
mean, the lead lines have been in there for a long time, and we haven't had a situation where we're seeing a lot of lead poisoning. Why is that?
Sure. So our treatment technique here in Toledo is what protects us from the threats of lead in our service lines. There are lead service lines out there, and there are lead fittings, but we use poly and orthophosphates in order to provide that protective coating inside the pipes as water is transported from the water treatment plant to our homes. One of the major failures in Flint was they did not protect that protective coating inside the pipe, so they changed their treatment process when they went to the Detroit River, and Flint River, and what they did is they did not use the chemical treatment they needed to protect their citizens. So as that lining starts falling off, it starts getting into homes, and then that's where you experience the problem. But one thing I will add to that is, as the director of this utility, I was on the job 3 months when the Do Not Drink advisory happened. I'm born and raised in Toledo. I'm actually a child of the Junction community. My whole family stays here. So one of the things that I talk about, the difference between what happened in Toledo and what happened in Flint, and trust me, that whole process made my job much more difficult. But the one thing that was the big difference is, within a couple hours of us thinking we had an issue, we put an advisory out and said, look, don't drink the water until we figure it out. Whereas in Flint, government sat on that information for nearly a year and really harmed and killed people. So our difference is, if we think we have a problem, we're going to notify our community immediately, and then we'll figure it out from there. And it took us 56 hours to figure it out. But at the end of the day, we made sure that our citizens and the customers of the Department of Public Utility are properly protected. And that's our goal, always.
If I may, it's very important for us to understand that this is a administration, council, and community concern. Because we can have all the questions about, you know, the contamination level, but if the community is not aware of what's in their pipes, even as we deal with infrastructure, the community living in landlord homes, high water bills, all of those things, landlords not knowing how to connect to resources to ensure that their tenants are not living in homes with pipes that are failing. These are all things that have to happen. You have to have some community education. So Freshwater Future is joining into this process with Blue Conduit, which Blue Conduit has done amazing work through artificial intelligence, ensuring where those lead lines are to reduce some of the costs that you would do if you were to do just a blind shot out. So making sure that we have community education, making sure that we have informed processes of how to take care and take advantage of resources is key. It's why the Toledo Water Council, the Freshwater Future, have formed and worked with the Water Task Force, working with all state, federal, and local government to ensure that we protect our citizens.
Well, and Alicia, just really quickly, so obviously on the agenda today is this legislation piece looking at the private side for lead line replacement. What else is this community group pushing for after that? I mean, what other initiatives do you have? I'm assuming this is not the last.
This is not the last, sir. You know us, right? But debt forgiveness. The moratorium took place because Freshwater Future Christy Meyer went out and had that conversation with our governor, and it was amazing, the resolve. And it wasn't just Freshwater Future alone. A number of Greens came together to work together. It is so very important that we can continue to do that. To have the CARES Act and have the funding is one thing, but to understand that people are living in trauma, that mental health is in that space as well. And what does that look like? So we're looking for trauma-informed care. We're looking for abilities to help young people who are going to have issues with education that, education and water isn't connected. Yes, it is. So we need to do some real academic and research around how we help people help themselves. And so there is an affordability study with Roger Colton, and he is world-renowned. Toledo didn't sleep on it. I appreciate Ed that, it was a hard press and many times we bump heads, but he didn't mind bumping heads to get to the answers. And Nick Komives didn't mind making sure that there was monies to bring in to have a real study done, and we appreciate that.
The results of the affordability study I anticipate to be in September of this year, 2021. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you. Thanks for being here. Everybody make it.
What? I need a one-on-one because I gotta figure out how I gotta